Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting VOBES show. Yes, it's Thursday today, Thursday the 14th of June 2018, and I'm here, the VOBE, but I seem to be on my own, ladies and gentlemen. I don't have any guests with me today. We had a fantastic show yesterday with the lovely Emily Champion. We had the lovely Julia, who was in earlier this week. And now I'm on my lonesome Todson with nobody to keep me going, to spark me up, to keep the energy levels flowing, to keep the motivation going and the ideas spewing, ladies and gentlemen, spewing from my big gob. But unfortunately, we'll just have to do the best we can with what we've got, which I have to say is some notes for today's show, but not a huge amount. So I'm relying on all the feedback from you lovely people, wherever you happen to be, to find out exactly what's going on in your lives and what you're doing at the moment. Well, not at this precise moment, of course, because what you're doing now, hopefully, is tuning in to the old VOBE One-Eyed Kenobi to be entertained for the next 60 minutes or so. And I do hope that's going to be the case. I have to say, I'm very tired. And one of the questions I want to ask in today's show, I am quite tired. I didn't get a lot of sleep last night. In fact, by 8 o'clock, I went back to bed for an hour. Just for an hour, because I didn't need to be anywhere immediately, because there were a few things going on. And so I had a bit of a snooze. And what I want to ask in today's show, one of the questions I want to ask in today's show is, where, ladies and gentlemen, have you had an inappropriate sleep? And what has happened? Or have you overslept for a particular thing? I remember one time I was working, I was juggling and unicycling and entertaining, all that sort of corporate nonsense that I used to do in the years gone by. And I remember I was very tired one day and I got to the venue that I needed to be, but I got there an hour earlier. It was quite some distance and I thought I better go with plenty of time. I got there far quicker than I actually needed to be. It's true. So I thought I'd have a snooze in the car. It was an hour early. I had a snooze in the car. Yeah, you guessed it. I was an hour late for that gig. I woke up and went, oh my God. I was an hour late. They were fuming. Where were you? Well, I couldn't tell them I was at the end of the drive in the car, fast asleep. Maybe I should have done, ladies and gentlemen. Let's find out who's actually out there in the Facebook. This is I should point out, this is a Facebook show. It's a Facebook live show, and it gets replayed on YouTube. So if you're watching on YouTube, you happen to be watching the rerun. I apologise for that. Now, I know in the past I've said, oh, well, you know, I'm going to make sure it goes on YouTube live at the same time. And I do want to do that. I really do want to do that so that we do it in dual mode, in stereo mode, so that you could flip from one side to the other and see, here, Baldy's on this side and Baldy's on this, or this platform and that platform. Will the bald gentleman on platform 5 please cross over to platform 3, because the people at platform 3 are very keen to see the baldy. After all, they can't see him terribly clearly on platform 5 because he looks like any other baldy that happens to be there waiting for a show. What's that? Anyway, so yeah, where have you slept inappropriately, I want to know. Linda Kane is out there saying, evening all. Steve Blake is there. Steve Pilfold, Mark Selwood, Jennifer Stewart, it's good to see you. Andrew Graham, good evening to you, sir. Paul Watts, Emily Champion, Platform 4 and 3 3/4, she says. Fresh from having appeared on the show. I asked her afterwards, actually, I said to her, Emily, is it what you expected? She said, well, there were a few things that were a bit odd about the show. Firstly, the host. She didn't expect him to be quite as mad, zany and a fruitcake as she'd anticipated. She thought she was going on to a very intelligent educational show about the joy of lavender, apparently. And the other thing she said was the background. The background seemed far further away. And I said to her, no, this is like a broom cupboard, this show. You are sort of tightly thing. And it may not look like that we were right on top of each other, but when you sit, Julia can attest to this, because Julia has sat on my left-hand side many times, as you know, and what a fantastic, lovely young lady she is when she's there with all her purple hair. But we are like this. It's a good job we're friends, because when you're in this tiny studio, you are almost bosom pals. If it wasn't for the fact that you're actually facing out front. So that's all right. Mark Selwood says, I overslept on a bus the other day, ended up a mile past the workplace, so I had to take a £7 taxi back. Oh, my. It's so easily done, isn't it? Can you imagine that? £7. Going for a taxi. It's a good job you didn't fall asleep in the taxi and have another £25 to get you back to the point where you could have got a bus and so. Steve Pilfold says, I think it would be better to embed the live Facebook show on your website so people who don't have Facebook can watch it there. That's true. I wonder if they would go there, though, and do that. Maybe they would. Maybe I could embed the live show live, as it were. I'll have to work out. Maybe if there's an IT person, they can tell me how to do that, because the website... Well, actually, the VOBES website is not a WordPress site. Actually, it's an HTML site, so that's quite good. What is a VW Maggie, says Andy Ash. A VW, I think it's a Volkswagen, isn't it? Paul Hines says, I fell asleep on a date before doing the deed. Oh, that's not so good, is it? Nodding off in the restaurant when you meet. Hello, my boy, chérie. It's so nice to see you. May you have some white wine? Oh, yeah, no, red wine. The red wine to get the red blood going so that we can make mad, passionate love tonight. Oh, it is such a good idea. Waiter, pass me something, something sensual for the lady. And then after the meal, oh, a meal, I've had my meal. It's all up there. And I've had a little bit of alcohol now. So we get you back to the bedroom. And yes, my moment porpe. Yay, you are coming to me. Lie down on the bed. And I'll be one moment. I am going to ravish you, my dear. I am ravishing. So I guess that's probably what happened with the lovely Paul Hine. I hope it wasn't too much like that, because I know Paul very well. He may not think it, but through the tube I can see him and I can see his thing. Steve Pilfoot says you have set up each day the video's URL code, but it's a public video and you can embed it internally to Facebook. Okay, I'll have to reread that and try and decipher what you mean. Kushti Phil says evening all, and Malcolm Glazier says, phew, I've just made it. Sit down and take it easy. Try not to doze off in front of the VOBES show. That would be good. Emily Champion says he must have drunk the Bendy Boy. Yes, there was a tiny bit of Bendy Boy, but I'm afraid I left the Bendy Boy alone tonight. And what Mary Walters says, T4, Andy, whatever that is, 26 years old and needs a bit of TLC. Not quite sure what they're talking about. My wife is half French and she hates red wine, says Andy Ash. Oh, does she? Well, maybe, what does she like? Maybe she likes I'll have a baby sham. Maybe it's a baby sham she has. Which would be interesting. Paul Watts has arrived, and he says, I fell asleep on a 4 a.m. till 4 a.m. Oh, on a 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. guard duty and got charged. Is this in the RAF, Paul, when you were in the RAF? I think you were in the RAF, weren't you? I think you told me it was the RAF. He was on guard duty and fell asleep during the... Yeah, I bet you were put on a charge. Not so good. Ha-ha! Richard Suggett has arrived. Richard Suggett, who now is not only a one dad, he's a two dad. He's a two dad. We've got some more congratulational news for Richard Suggett. It's come down the teleprinter, ladies and gentlemen. ... dash dish dash dot daddy dit dit bit 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 bit. Oh yes, I'm hearing now that we have another quail. Yes, another quail has been born. Pictures coming up a bit later in the show. They're being sent as we speak, live across the internet, and arriving into the laptop of Broadcasting House here in VOBES land, and going out to you a bit later on. Richard Suggett says, I've been called late to the party tonight. Oh, have you been on a job? Mark English. Hello, Mark. How's the merry wives of Windsor? My husband and I are very happy, except for the other wives. I'm not happy at all. With these other wives, I wish they would all go. I wish they would all disperse. How can my husband make love to me when I have these other wives all over the place? Other wives, how will I possibly survive? Is that a little bit of excerpt there from the Merry Wives of Windsor? Are they merry? That's what are they? My husband and I would like to say how delighted we are. Are you one of the wives? Or are you just the postwoman? Maybe it's a bit like that. Who knows? Anyway, hoping to go and see this marvellous production Mark English is in, The Merry Wives of Windsor. Just give us a plug, Mark, whilst you can, of where it is and when it is and how much the tickets are. You may as well. Emily Champion says he's been up all night with the quails. Poor old Richard, up all night with the quails. Oh, I've been up all night with these quails, rubbing the eggs, rubbing them, like Aladdin and his magic lamp, waiting for that quail genie to quail in front of him so he can quake. I am the genie of the egg. What is your command? My command? Yes, what is your command, oh human? Oh, I don't know. I'd like more listeners to my Growing Up podcast, and when I'm doing my naked gardening, I'd like to put some clothes on because it's getting cold, if that's all right. Yes, I will grant you it on this one rare occasion, Earthling. Oh, you're very kind. Very cat, my accent's changed. Hello, I'm Lenny. Oh, God, I've gone into Lenny. Anyway, never mind that. Mark Selwood says, get down here in your camper van, Maggie. Oh, I say. Down, there's an offer you can't refuse, Maggie, in your camper van. Putt, all the way down to Cornwall. That wall of corn that you've got to get through. I built it earlier because we wanted to stop Mark Selwood from escaping because he was being, I can't remember what he was doing, probably being very rude to the VOBE One-Eyed Kenobi or one of the listeners, because you know what a rude person he is. Cornish, you see. Cornish, that's what it is. I was expecting them Cornish people to be building a wall out of pasties, but apparently not. Or pastas, depends. That's not the right accent. Graham Whittington says, he says something, he's lost it now. He's on top form again tonight. Yes, he's, well, I've got to make up for it tonight, haven't I? I'm all on my lonesome. Have you gone raving mad? Have you gone raving mad? Hancock's half hour. Have you got... Oh, never mind. Cynthia Walder has arrived, which is nice. Nikki Jess has joined. Nikki Jess, I'm surprised you're a bit late. Mark Selwood says, I could manage you dressed as a genie, Richard S. It'd be nice to see. I think Richard Suggett would make a good genie with his beard, actually. And standing there with a couple of leeks in his hand, in one hand, and in the other hand maybe a cos lettuce, cos that's what you do, isn't it? Nikki Jess is giving a hand wave or a slap. I'm not quite sure what that is. And Jennifer Stewart says, hi, Nikki. Graham, I'm just reading out what's here, really. Graham Whittington says, plenty of info character tonight. There we go. It's all going very well. The VOBES... That's the VOBES sorted for Panto. It's behind you. Oh, yes, it is. Oh, no, it's always behind. Anyway, we're all here. That's all that matters. Thank goodness for that. It's nice to have you with us. And so let's crack on. That was my mad wild face. Might as well have one, might as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be looking at the group pictures, of which we're going to find the new quail, a new quail to quake at, to have a look at in today's show. The lovely Julia and I were planning to go to Arlington, not Leisure. What was it? Arlington. I'm Arlington Bertie. I rise at 2:30. No, not Arlington Bertie, rising at 2:30. Arlington Reservoir, because we're very reserved. We were going to go to Arlington Reservoir today, ladies and gentlemen. But unfortunately, the weather turned. It was lovely this afternoon, but Julia wasn't available because she had to look after a child. And Claire Leach, who was taking us around, had to take a phone call from work. Hello, Claire Leach here. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, I can do that for you. Yes, because I'm very clever. I'll do it at work. I was going to go to Arlington Leisure. Yeah, not Arlington Leisure. What am I talking about? I'm Arlington Bertie. I raise at 2:30. Yes, the 2:30 at Hempworth. Yes, I'd put money on that if I was you. I bet that's what she was doing, actually. Now I think about it. I think Claire Leach was actually busy on the horses. She said she had to take phone calls for work, but I reckon she was actually on the nags. She was probably, one of those ticker tape men that do this. All that nonsense, wherever it goes. That's what I reckon. I mean, I could be right. So we were going to go there, but the weather was awful. It was raining, it was nasty, it was miserable. And I said, no, let's not do that. Let's go and do something different. And so Claire said, all right, well, I'm going to go and sit there and have a nice cup of tea. And so she did. And then the lovely Julia got on and did whatever the lovely Julia does when I'm not in her world. And I got onto the sort of stuff when I was on... Well, actually, that was editing. Funny enough, I had a corporate editing job. Oh, yes, I can eat this week. Phew, I can eat this week. Blimey, that's lucky. A corporate editing job came in, and so I got onto that, and I also... Oh, yeah. I also got onto editing up tomorrow... Oh, well, I had to edit up tomorrow's video. And in tomorrow's video, ladies and gentlemen, the lovely Julia and I are going to visit Stanmer Park. Stanmer Park near Brighton. We're going to have a little look around there, and the lovely Julia gets spooked. Yes, by the wheelhouse, by the donkey wheel. Yeah, but you'll have to wait and see for that one. It'll be out in the morning, assuming I manage to get myself up at 5 o'clock in the morning, which I have been doing. What is the earliest time that you guys get up? Do you get up? What time do you get up? Be interested to know what time. I mean, talking about oversleeping. What time do you get up in the morning? When you're not working? If you're not working, are you a lie-in person? I can't be bothered. Or are you an early riser? I'd be interested to know how many of you are early risers. I'm an early riser, and I'm an early go-to-bedder, if I can get to bed early, because by this time, by about now, to be honest with you, by about now, one gets, it's sort of this sort of time, actually, it's just this sort of time when, you just sort of kick back a bit and yeah, you just want to sort of... So if you've got any stories, ladies and gentlemen, about where you've accidentally nodded off or you're late for something because you nodded off, I'd love to know about it. Mark Selwood says, I was hoping Emily was going to do a rematch with Richard and we could have pie face. Well, maybe she'll bring it next time. I was very lucky there because at the end of it, Emily said to me after the show yesterday, I stink of cream, Richard, I stink of cream. And I thought, yes, I've been very lucky. Because I did say, that's not going in my face. This is not going in my face. He said, no, I've rigged it. It'll go in mine. I know you're too precious. Well, I didn't want it to go into my curly locks, you see, ladies and gentlemen. So that was it. Mark Selwood says, psst, I was secretly glad Richard didn't have it in the face. Thanks for engineering it that way, Emily. Dave Baker says, I wake up at 5 a.m. That's marvellous. And Osborne says 7 o'clock for her. Pam Earnshaw says, thanks, Phil. All the tabs have error messages in them. Oh, dear. Paul Couchman says, 5 a.m. when I work, it's ridiculous. Well, I love getting up at 5. I just, if the sun is out and it's nice and bright, even though I'm tired, I find I cannot stay in bed. Sorin, I forget how you pronounce it now because we did have that lesson. He says 6:30 a.m., which I suppose is a bit more sensible than 5. Jennifer Stewart says, I lie in late and go to bed late. Yes, you see, it's time shifting, isn't it? John Berger. Hello, John Berger. Lovely to have you out there. Don't forget to check out widescreen.org. John Berger's podcast about the cinema and what's coming up, news and views. He's a lovely bloke. He says, on weekends, I rarely get up before noon, you lazy bugger. I take it it's not widescreen, it's fat lazy screen, that's what that is. Of course, 4 to 5 a.m. is my normal weekend bedtime. Oh, I see. So you're another late night stay through the night. What is it about the darkness that people like? What is it about that? When you've got the glorious day, who could possibly not see and get up for the sunrise and be invigorated in the morning and go, here, by the blessedness of life, we have another day, the joyous day to get through. That's how I feel about it. Not, oh, is it 11:30 already? Oh, dear, what happened to the day? I don't understand. Mark Selwood says, I hate early mornings. It's killing me doing 7 to 7 for every 4 days. Do you know, I do 12-hour days. 24-hour days I do. 24-hour days I do. Yeah, because I'm not dead. That's the reason I do that. Because if I was dead, I would obviously be missing out those hours. Some of those 24 hours I do sleep, I admit. Some of those I sit down, have a cup of coffee and enjoy the world around me. But I do them. Kevin Hall says 6:45, but I usually wake up at silly o'clock. Well, that's nice. Silly o'clock is a good o'clock in my book. Steve Pilfold says, sadly, those days out, usually before 8 a.m, due to the twins waking me up. My body clock from too many 4:40 alarms. Oh, yes, that's not so good. Early riser, says Dave Baker. I think you told us already, Dave Baker. Maggie Smith says, I prefer early nights and early mornings. Good for you, Maggie. Me too, says Andy Ash. Maggie. Well, Andy Ash, I know by the time you've had all your red wine and beers at night, you know, by 9 o'clock, boom, you're probably a snoozy sneak slam. And Mark Selwood says, I'm with you, Jennifer, not physically, unless you want me to. I just love the up late and get up late. I'm well, you know, I'm glad we do, because otherwise it would be a boring world if we all did exactly the same, wouldn't it? It would be very bored. Now, let's have a look, because Steve Pilfold, talking about Steve Pilfold, he's been out and about, ladies and gentlemen, and I wonder where he is in Sussex. I managed to twig this actually very early on, because I'll give you a clue. I filmed there. But you may not realise that, of course, and many of you have seen many of my films, but you may not know where it is. See if you can guess where Steve Pilfold happens to be today, chasing one of his twins.
Hello, Cara.
Hello, Daddy.
Look, there's a great big hill. Shall we climb up it?
Yeah.
Come on then. Careful.
Hello, Mama.
There we are. If you know where it is, bung it in the thing. Steve, don't give it away too soon. I like this. Very good. Where in Sussex, if you know, write it down in the comments. That would be good. If you're watching on YouTube, obviously you can't see the comments, so you could write that down in the comments, or you could wait for the end of the show when, no doubt, we'll read it out. It's just a bit of fun, and it's all good fun. And we'll see how well you know your Sussex. Let's have a look and see if anybody's got it there. It's always a bit early. The lovely Julia says, of course, that some of us are just night owls, which is very true, and I'm not casting aspersions on anybody who stays up different hours to me. Of course, as I said before, it'd be a terribly boring world if we all were awake at the same time. We need some people to sleep. We need the Benny Hill music, says Emily Champion. Yes, that's true. Golly, Benny Hill. Who remembers that? Judith Oakley seems to have the right idea, I think. Paul Hine says it's Worthing Pier. No, I don't think it's Worthing Pier, actually. Wendy Wakelin doesn't know because she's up there in Liss, so you may not be aware of this. Talking of Wendy Wakelin, I should say that the lovely Julia and I are very, very much looking forward to Saturday, because we are going to be meeting Wendy Wakelin, and even more so, we're going to be meeting the lovely, historic, puffing and panting Victoria, the Victoria steam engine. Very thrilled to be doing that. And we hope to be riding on the trailer on the back as it goes trundling off onto wherever it's going. Somewhere nice. So we hope that the weather is going to be good. I'm hoping also that we can have a few words with Wendy and interview her about the traction engine, where she got it, how it's looked after, how you maintain a traction engine, what you use a traction engine for these days, what you used to use a traction engine in the old days, what happens when a part is wrong and missing, what is that bit of the traction engine, why is that belt going round there, and how come Julia's hair has got caught in one of the cogs and she's screaming in agony. These are the questions, ladies and gentlemen, that I shall be thinking about asking, but I may actually ask something totally different, like, can I drive it, please? And do you really want to keep it? Because I've got a space on my drive, it'll look absolutely lovely. Not that I've actually got a drive, but, you know, these are the things. So, very excited, Wendy, to be coming along to have a look at that. Would be great. So there we go. That's that. In the meanwhile, I'd like to thank somebody called Mia Thompson. Now, I don't know whether Mia Thompson watches this show religiously. I know she listens to the Naked Englishman, which is my audio diary. If you don't know what the Naked Englishman, ladies and gentlemen, is, that means you're not one of my patrons. Because if you're a patron, one of those that supports the VOBE One-Eyed Kenobi and the Bald Explorer stuff, there's somebody who sort of delves into their pocket and sort of goes, do you know what, that VOBES bloke, he works so hard. He produces a video a day, and then he does a live show every day, and he does this audio podcast every day, and soon he'll be releasing this weekly video with what's gone on in the background every week. He works so hard, we're going to support him, and these are my patrons. Well, one of my patrons is this lovely lady called Mia Thompson and her family, and they sent me this very, very kind donation today. It was £30 towards the Forest of Dean trip, which I have to say is creeping up incredibly fast. I think the lovely Julia told me she's going away to Spain in 7 days, and I know that a few days into her trip away, I go away on my Forest of Dean trip, so I must be going away in about 10 days' time. So it's very close, so I actually need to, apart from scratching my leg, here, I've got a blooming tick! What's you doing in there, you tick? Go away! Poof! Poof the magic dragon. So I need to get my act together and learn some stuff about the Forest of Dean and know where I'm going. But I'm hoping to meet up with Mark Garner on one of the days, and possibly maybe Maggie and Robbie on another day, which will be fantastic, or evening or whenever, and go and see some of the stuff. So I still got to try and get that organised. Steve Pilfold points out full points to Judith. The Mount in Lewis is where he visited, believed to be an Elizabethan garden feature. A folly type thing. It is a great big sort of molehill. Think of Silbury Hill and then reduce it right down. Silbury Hill in Wiltshire. Think of that. Julia, the lovely Julia says, Elijah, not Eli. I don't know who Eli is. Elijah and I are looking forward to it, Wendy. Yes, Eli. Elijah. Got it stuck in my head. You know what I'm like, Julia, when I got the wrong names. It's like Emil instead of Emily. The lovely Julia and the lovely Elijah, not Eli. Who's blooming Eli? Are coming with me to that, and we're going to have a ride on the back of the traction engine. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. So that's all very good. So that's it's not a Mia Thompson. It's not Dan Thompson. Not a Mia. No, Mia, as in M. Is it M-I-A? Mia, a lovely lady, Mia Thompson. So there we go. Mark Selwood says, will you come back to us like Grizzly Adams from the Forest of Dean? I'm not quite sure what you mean with the big beard and sort of, dreadlocked hair and having wrestled with bears, ancient bears in the Forest of Dean. Who knows? Who knows? I may well do. I may well find some ancient, I think they're supposed to be pumas, lost pumas, aren't there, running. I'm not talking about the shoes or the company that makes them. I'm talking about the cats, big cats, big black cats. I'm going to be in this forest all on my own in this gypsy caravan, surrounded by trees and dark, dank things. The nature of the forest. I mean, I shall be, surviving. I shall be sleeping it rough. There'll be nobody. Probably won't have any internet. Probably won't have any mobile phone connection. Probably no shops. There's probably nothing. There could be Stig of the Dump in there. Ancient man survived in the Forest of Dean. Maybe some hermit in a cave will come out at me. Maybe the monks from Tintern Abbey and Hurge's Adventures of Tintin will be there. Who knows who's going to be there? There'll be a whole host of maybe the Seven Dwarfs and Peppa Pig and the Piglet Brigade and goodness knows, Jack and Jill and her mate Bill, who's a big bloke with rather strange tattooed arms. Popeye, the Sailor Man. Maybe they're all in the Forest of Dean, waiting. The Lion, the Witch, and the IKEA open up that self-assembly wardrobe. Maybe that's all in there. Who knows? With roadkill squirrel. Yes, that's right. I'll be there with a roadkill squirrel coat. Paul Hine says, my favourite town, Petersfield. I had some great times there. I'll tell you something about Petersfield, ladies and gentlemen, now you mention it. I have been to Petersfield. Not many times. I did go there once with a couple of other actor friends of mine, and we did something which we called the beanbag saga. Yes, it wasn't that we were juggling with beanbags. We reenacted. It was street theatre. These giant beanbags, which actually contain foam, not beans, which is a bit odd. But they were big foam bags, really. And these we started upside down, with our feet all on our backs, with our feet and hands curled in, and slowly, like some weird mythological creature, we opened ourselves up as if we were hatching from sort of it was physical theatre, ladies and gentlemen. It was a sort of theatre of the absurd. It was absurd how we did it, and we opened ourselves up like this, and we were making very strange, sort of snug and cosy noises, really, from my time. Maybe that's where I got the idea. Cosy, you slimping slam slappert. What is it, Snuggy? Oh, shabba shabba nip nip nip, cosy, nop nop, Snuggy. I'm not quite sure what that is. Peppa Pig, you're a loony, says John Berg. Yes, I am a bit of a loony. So there we go. Selling lavender. Yes, I'll come back from the Forest of Dean selling lavender. Mark Selwood says he'll come back a changed man. I hope I do come back changed. If I'm in the same clothes and I haven't had a bath all that time, it'll be stinky. He'll definitely probably need a change after roughing it. Yeah, that's true. Paul Watts says, why don't you use Instagram, Richard, and keep updating with the short films from your phone? Well, it's funny you should say that, because I did start using Instagram last year, earlier this year, and I kind of stopped because I couldn't see any growth. And also, Instagram only lets you put one link, and that's in your profile, unless it's changed. You could only so people, I think the idea was that Instagram people didn't want people to disappear from Instagram, and of course I want them all to come to the hub, to the home, to the community, to see what we're doing. So I found that a bit awkward. Also, the same with Twitter. I found that Twitter was just not working for me. People no longer communicate in the way that they used to do on Twitter. It seems to be just links of commercial blogs or commercial promotions for something, mostly, and or just fake news. Lots of what was getting me about Twitter is they'd turn up on my YouTube channel people making videos about somebody who'd said something on Twitter, and the other people had responded to what somebody had said on Twitter, and you ended up with these films about what somebody had said or not said on Twitter. And I thought, I don't really give a monkey's what somebody says on Twitter, and why am I watching YouTube videos about what somebody said and didn't say, and how the nuances changed now they've said this and they've changed their mind, and all they've deleted what they said on Twitter. It's like, who gives a monkey's? It goes up like this so quickly and it's gone. Blink on Twitter and you miss it. So I don't really understand. I mean, I'm still on Twitter, and I have a handle at VOBES and at Bald Explorer and stuff, but they go so fast, and I don't think people were really watching my Twitter stuff or following any of the links and all the rest of it. Jennifer says, my 5-year-old niece loves Peppa Pig. I love Peppered Pig. Peppered Pig is much nicer, to be honest with you, Jennifer. Mark Selwood says he'll come back. I've read that. Paul Watts says, why don't you use Instagram? Wendy Wakeling says, you be going through Petersfield on Saturday, Richard, behind Victoria on the trailer. Well, that's interesting. I shall look forward to going through Petersfield on the trailer. Maybe I can, on the back of the trailer, reenact a little bit from the Beanbag Saga. Yes, it's like, who is that? The Forsyth Saga. Do you remember that? Who wrote the Forsyth Saga? Somebody. Not Frederick. It wasn't Frederick Forsyth who wrote the Forsyth Saga. It was some other person. Paul Watt says you can link your Instagram videos to Facebook. Can you? They must have changed that, because at first you could only put one link, which was in your profile. You couldn't do it on each of the posts, but maybe Steve Pilfold is putting up rant alert. Yes, most likely. Steve Stelford says there's so many social media things you can't keep up. I can barely keep up with Bookface. That's right. Oink oink. Paul Watts says he hates Twitter. Yes, and I'm with you on that. So there we go. What else have we got? Oh yes, it's time to have a look at some ponies and some horses, ladies and gentlemen. It is that moment in the show when we get to about 1:30 and I'm thinking, why isn't it 8:55? I feel like I've done a whole hour, and yet there's still more. There's still more to go, more time to get through. The sands of time are moving very slowly in today's show. I think I've had too much coffee, because I'm beginning to get a little bit dizzy here. So the camera keeps moving about like that. I don't know whether it's just VOBES vision or whether it's something else. Anyway, I want to show you these pictures. Hang on a minute. Here we go. Because the lovely Julia and I the other day, was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. We went to the Sussex Horse Rescue Sanctuary. This is a place in Uckfield. Lovely place, actually. And now, I don't know much about horses, and I'm very intrigued. I was very intrigued to learn about donkeys, funnily enough, because I wondered who owns donkeys these days, in this day and age. Who has a donkey? What use is a donkey? We have machines, because in the old days, a donkey would get on one of those donkey wheels, wouldn't it? And it would rise buckets up from wells, or in the mining business, you'd have a donkey to sort of power a turning circle, like the Caspian wheel in Portsmouth. Maybe you had a donkey to turn that to lift a chain up, or to do something like that. But you used to have donkey rides on the seaside, didn't you? At Blackpool and various, maybe in Bognor Regis, you had these donkey rides. Little kids would get it, because you couldn't do it now. Kids are so fat. You're not allowed to say that word, by the way, of course, because you'll end up slapped up and bunged into prison if you say anything untoward, but never mind. But kids are so obese now because they're trying to get the sugar out of it, and you'll be taxed if you even look at sugar these days. So big fat kids on donkeys, not a good idea. But so they stopped that practice many years ago. I've not seen donkey rides for a long time. And so I wonder where the hell, this is a sanctuary, lovely place, lovely people. They look after horses, race horses, the horses that gypsies have that don't want them, horses that people have bought for their little spoilt girl. What can we call her? Rosemary or someone? Here, Rosemary, what would you... I'd like a horse. Yes, all right, you can have a horse. I've got a horse, you've got to clean it out. I don't want to clean it out. No, you've got to clean it out. I'm not James Herriot, You don't clean it out sticking your arm up. No, I'm not talking about that. No, the stable, you've got to clean out the stable. But we rent the stable. Yes, we rent the stable. It's your blooming horse. You go and clean it out. You nagged me like nobody's business. Nag? Yes, like, nag as in a horse. Oh, yeah. So you've nagged you've nagged me. I'm paying for this very expensive horse, and you've got to clean the blooming thing. I don't want to. Right, that's it. The horse is going. So then what they do is they take the horse and they take it to the... Excuse me, I've got a horse in the back of my car. Oh, yes, where's your car? It's that little Mini over there. That's not a Mini, that's a Fiat Uno. I've got more than one horse in there. My little girl wanted not just one horse, she wanted My Little Pony, she wanted my little donkey, and then she wanted my little donkey jacket and boots. And I said, you can't have those because I need those to go to work in. She said, fine. She said, fine, like that. Fine, she said. Fine. So I'm fining her by taking the horse and bunging it in the sanctuary. All right, fair dues. So, but who has donkeys? They have loads of donkeys. I'm going to show you some video of donkeys in a minute. But who these days have donkeys? What do you do with a donkey? They kept saying to me, Albert, they make very good alert animals. Well, what do you mean? Alarm animals. And all I could think of was that they had bells attached to them, and they would run around going, ee-aw, ee-aw, ring, 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 ee-aw, ee-aw, things like that. Anyway, let's have a look at some donkeys, shall we? These are the animals, short, funny, fuzzy-looking things with great big ears. So here's some donkeys for you. This is a lovely donkey. It's a bit scruffy, but very, very nice-looking, tame sort of donkey. Didn't do very much. This is a farrier. He's sharpening up the hooves. Apparently these donkeys don't actually have metal shoes. They can go wild, in the wild. There's that donkey again. He's a very handsome chap. In a minute my arm is going to come in. There it is. That's my hand. My hand is internationally famous. There's another farrier there. He's I don't know what he was doing. And these are horses, as you can see, and a few flies buzzing around. The horses are very nice. These are very smart-looking horses in a delightful field. We did this at the Sussex, Horse Rescue Sanctuary. So there we are. That was that. By the way, that footage was shot with my new vlogging camera, and I've been taking that everywhere. And if you're a patron, and if you're patient, if you're a patient patron, you will get coming to you at the end of this week a week behind the keep banging the microphone. A week behind the scenes of the VOBE, One-Eyed Kenobi and all the things. So we've got the lovely Julia is on there, a bit of Paul Couchman is on there, a little bit of Emily Champion is on there. There's obviously me, I'm on there. I was hoping that we would have had Claire Leach on there, but it got cancelled yesterday. We've got a secret meeting. We've got a secret meeting. We're not allowed to say where we're going tomorrow. The lovely Julia and I are off. I was going to tell you about it, somewhere in Brighton, one of these big houses that's not Stanmer Park, but it's one of these big houses that actually have a few elms in the garden. I can't tell you. I've been told not to say where it is, because they may change their mind and may not have me, and so they'll have a bit of egg on their face if it's been announced that we're going there. So we're not allowed to actually say where it is, and I've been pressed on not to say that in the manner that we're going there, we will not reveal it at all, if you get my drift. So there we are. So make of that what you will. But anyway, so we went to the horse rescue sanctuary. It was absolutely fantastic. Lovely Julia knows all about horses. We did do a walk around there. We had a lovely time. Got some nice footage, and that will be a video maybe coming out next week or the week after. I'm not quite sure the order of sequence or she. But yes, and we're going to go back and we're going to do a proper sort of documentary about it, find out where these donkeys come from and who has a donkey these days. I'm still confused about who has a donkey. Undercover business, says Emily, and Mark Selwood says looking forward to the extra video. Yes, that's right. Testing 1 2 3, says Dave Baker. Yes, I can see your testing. Andy Ash says nudge nudge, say no more. Said too much already. Shush. Absolutely. Kushti Phil says, Glenn, you found your way back from Waverley Abbey. He's been at Waverley Abbey. We're going to go and have a look in the group in a minute, and I think we may have a bit of that. Steve Pilford says, horses for courses, but which one? Linda Kane. She must be an ex-teacher with a name like that. Linda Kane says, aha! Very, very haunted. Very haunted. Where are we going? Is it? That'll be interesting. Joseph apparently has a donkey. I don't know that Joseph is still around, and that donkey must be long dead. Cloverley, Richard, in Devon donkeys. Yeah, but what do they do with them? Why have they got them in Cloverley? What do you do with a donkey? Andy Ash says that Joseph's one is about 2,000 years old. Yes, I should think it's probably a bit lame by now. And exhausted. So there we go. Claire Leach is talking about Arlington. Yes, we will arrange an alternative date. Sometime in July it'll have to be, when I'm back from the Forest of Dean. Now, if you don't mind. A nod is as good as a wink to a donkey. By the way, talking about coming back from something in July, I've heard through the grapevine, mainly through the lovely Julia actually, that there is an event going on in Horsham, Enchanted Horsham, and I've been in touch with them, sent an email saying, here, can I get a media pass? I want to come and go and do an interview and take my friend Julia and her son, and we want to do a piece about the Enchanted Horsham, where they're going to do, it's kind of like a fairy tale in the park. Sounds marvellous. Sounds, unless I have to pay, of course, but it sounds marvellous to go there and do a piece about it, so I'm looking forward to that. Blackpool still has donkey rides. Well, I thought they were all being illegalised. I thought that was all frowned on, like circus animals. Now, instead of looking at circus animals, which are magnificent, they look splendid, they are respectful, and they're very beautiful. Instead, you just have to look at circus performers, which may not be any of the... They're always a bit rough and ready, if you ask me, but nobody asked me, so I'm going to keep my mouth well and truly shut as we now go, ladies and gentlemen, over to the gallery. Yes, the gallery, ladies and gentlemen, where those people in my sister station, the Bald Explorer group, post pictures of heritage, history, landscape and nature, all that sort of stuff, and we all like them, comment on them, say nice things about them. We daren't say anything nasty about them because otherwise you know, that's what happens. And it's so we try and build up a nice community. Let's see who's been posting in the group today. And of course these are just one of many pictures that people post. So starting with this one, this is Tom Crawford, who actually has been doing some gargoyle photography, if that's a thing. at Tower Bridge. I'm assuming that's Tower Bridge in London. I'm not 100% sure, but I can't think why it wouldn't be. Whereas the lovely Claire Leach, instead of meeting us at Arlington, she's gone swanning off to South Highton in East Sussex to get a blood red field of poppies. I didn't realise, actually, poppies came out at this time of year. I don't know, because of Remembrance Sunday, I always thought that they came out in the autumn. But either that or they've come early, or people are just bunging the pictures up now because they think it's quite fun. Simon Brown is away in Madeira Cake, and he is at somewhere called Pico do Ario, or something like that. Basically, he's up in the mountains in Madeira, wherever Madeira is. I always thought Madeira was a strong drink. But, and indeed a cake. Maybe somebody can tell me. Is Madeira a drink, an alcoholic drink, like a port? I'd be fascinated to know about that, because that's what I thought it was. We mentioned Richard Suggett. Here he is. That's not him. It's him on the right, that little egg. He has become a father recently to a couple of quails, and this is a second quail being born. And it's remarkable. It's lovely. Look at that. And, of course, these eggs are probably not much more than, what, 1.5 inches, something like that, 2 centimetres maybe. And so what we're seeing is something very, very big, but actually the little animal is incredibly small. More poppies, ladies and gentlemen. This from Peter Vines at Roundway Down. Not quite sure where Roundway Down is, but it does look very charming. And notice, ladies and gentlemen, notice that this photograph, which I'm looking at now, was sent in pretty much as like it is. It was shot landscape. Wasn't shot like so many people. It drives me up the wall. Will insist on having their phones in portrait mode when they're filming buildings or other landscape things. Please turn your phone round. Turn it round so that it is in landscape mode when you take your pictures and put them on Facebook. Don't keep shoving them up in I'm getting cross. Now, does anybody know what these are? I had to look twice at these. This is Mark Emery, who's been posting homemade gypsy pegs. Not sure what gypsy pegs are. I'm assuming they are like clothes pegs. That's a good word, isn't it? You've got to get the last syllable into that. Clothes pegs. For his, presumably, so he can hang out the washing, get his smalls out there. So that's Mark Emery for you. Thank you very much. Linda Kane has been down to Worthing. And this is my town where I live at the moment. And if you can imagine, you're standing on the pier here, at the pier head, looking back, well, or halfway up the pier, actually. You're looking back, and what you're seeing there is the old Kurzel, the old skating rink, from something like 1906 or something, originally. It's now the Dome Cinema. That's the dome-shaped building towards the right of the frame. And, of course, there's various flags and things. There's some modern monstrosities. Actually, that's the best side to view. The other side, unfortunately, has a lot of modern stuff. It's not bad shoreline. Now, Linda Kane has managed to capture probably the best look of Worthing that I've seen for some time. So well done to you. So that's very nice. Meanwhile, who's this? Judith Oakley has been out for a stroll along the old links. What do you call it? The Links Way, I think it is. This is the railway that runs from down in Shoreham and goes all the way up to Christ's Hospital. And it's a disused railway, and this is at West Grinstead. You can see the remains of the platform. I've actually made a video about that somewhere on the internet. If you put Bald Explorer and West Grinstead into the search engine, you'll find the video. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, as we mentioned, Glenn Johnson has managed to get himself back from Waverley Abbey. There it is, a little bit of Waverley. Wave at him. He's come back from Waverley Abbey. Well done. Absolutely marvellous. So don't forget, you can send in your photos, put them in a stamped address envelope. I'll upload them and bung them online. And I apologise that I cannot eat your photos when you send them in because I usually tend to have ordinary food. However, if you want to send a postcard to me, here we go. What you need to do is email me, richard@vobes.com, and I will then email you back my secret humble address, which actually it probably is on the internet anyway, sadly. But then you can send me a postcard, and one of your postcards from your hometown or somewhere where you've been with a secret personal message could be floating about on the board, although there's not that much space, so get them in quick. A lot of people have, and I thank you so much for doing that. It's been absolutely marvellous. What a response. So there we go. Judith Oakley says, better than the old bowling alley and the car park in Worthing. It's hideous. So that's it. Yeah, the Downs link. Thanks, Steve Pilfold. I knew it was something like that. Malcolm Grazer says, not sure about the painting on the Grafton car park. No, that's graffiti, in my opinion. It's horrible. Linda Kane says, hoping to go to West Grinstead on Sunday. Oh, I thought you had gone there. Open gardens and an open church. Yes. You can stand, by the way, if you're in West Grinstead railway station there, a little back where that picture was taken, if you can imagine, where this... Hang on, let's see if I can find it again. Hang on, Linda Kane. Not Linda Kane, Judith. Oh, no, it was Judith who went there, wasn't it? Yes, that's right. Hang on, why can't I... Here we go. Here we are. Look. If you imagine that you're the cameraman now, holding the camera, and you were to walk to your left at the end of the station, that's where the old signal box was. And during the war, I think 1943, not sure, some German planes went overhead and started strafing the station with bullets. And I don't think anybody was killed. A train was going through. They were trying to blow up the train because it was a moving target. And the signalman had to cower under some wooden things that were in the signal box so that he didn't get hit. Must have been quite horrific, actually, back then. One of the only times, apart from if you go back to when the Saxon invasions and the Viking invasions and the Norman invasions and all those sort of times, but in recent history, that Britain has actually been invaded by warmongering people. In the Second World War. We were there on the front. Well, we weren't invaded because we managed to get shot at them, but we were on the front line for the first time, because battles were fought for many, many years by organised militia or armies, standing armies, that sort of thing, and would go and form up, and people could come out and picnic and watch the battle unfold from the tops of hills whilst they were down in the valley. Great entertainment, it really was. Seeing, your father being shoved up the hooter with a big spike, rather grim, but in 1940, when the Battle of Britain took place, suddenly people were on the front line in their own home, that was a complete and utter rarity. It hadn't happened before. So, people went to war, didn't they, in the First World War? So that's all good. Okay, so that's more or less all my bits and bobs, actually. So how long have we got now? Still got a few more minutes. So in the closing minutes, ladies and gentlemen, I want to know from you, what is the most useless kitchen implement that you've ever bought? Richard Suggett must have a few of these. What's the most useless bit of kitchen equipment that you've had, whether it be some sort of egg whisk or some sort of egg timer or some sort of... What's that? I don't know. Something you shake, a rattle, or a radio, or an oven, or something. What is the worst bit of kitchen implements that you've ever had to buy? I'd be fascinated to know that. Steve Pilford says a lot of signal boxes still have windows on the ground from bricked up from the war during the blackout. Oh, that's interesting. The lovely Julia reminds me, and I did write it down here, that we had 741 members, but she has now said, actually, the Bald Explorer group now has 742. Thank you very much, TLJ. That's lovely, which is really good. Yes, Jennifer Stewart says something that you bought which was rubbish was that a fajita maker? A fajita. An egg whisk. Was it an egg whisk? An egg slicer, says Pam Earnshaw. Sure, yes. I mean, who? There are all these gadgets. You ever been to these market stalls where you've got this bloke in the street going, "Gather around, this 101 million devices for this wonder knife. I will sell it to you not for £20, not for £30, not for £400. I shall sell it to you, madam, for a fiver. Yeah, and for you, sir, a tenner." You ever seen any of those sort of dodgy people? I never buy anything like that. Olive Decora. Sounds very posh, doesn't it? That's from Andy Ash. I've got an olive decora. He has a lot of decorum when I'm taking the core out of the olive. If you take the core out of the olive, when you eat an olive, you can't go, core, that's good. Glenn Johnson says oven. Most useless thing, I can't use it. You know why? You're a man. Jennifer Stewart says, what was that? Quesadilla. I don't know what that means. A turning cheese grater. People invent the most stupidest things, don't they? Dishwasher, I think, is a very stupid thing. I'd much rather wash things up with my hand than put them into a dishwasher. Speaking personally. Paul Hines says, not forgetting Northern Ireland. For many veterans, it was the war on our streets. Yes, that's very true. Of course, you're quite right. A spurtle. I hate to ask what a spurtle is, and indeed what use you would put it to, but please, Nigel Sadler, give us the details. They all end up in the back of the cupboard, all these useless things. An electric spiralizer. What is... I knew this would elicit things. Really, I should have asked for the pictures. If only we could get the pictures put up, that would be absolutely... that would be rather cool. I would like to know what an electric spiralizer is. Andy Ash also says we have a lobster. And sorry, not a lobster. A toaster. A toaster with a bit on the side. Oh, I say. Hello. I've got a bit on the side. A toaster. Hang on, it's nearly disappeared. Where's it gone? A toaster with a bit on the side that allows baked beans to be cooked. Never used it. Waste of money. Yes. It's funny, isn't it? What, like a little electric hob on the side. That would be quite weird. Steve Pilfold says, does anyone still use I've lost it. It's going too quick. A salad spinner ordered from Betterware or similar. A salad spinner. Who spins or shakes or whatever their salad? Can't you just put it in a colander? Emily Champion says, who's she? Andy. I'm not quite sure what that is about. Boil an egg in the microwave device. Oh my God, eggs in the microwave. Who cooks eggs in a microwave? How sad and sickening is that? Yeah, boom, says Andy Ash. I absolutely agree with you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there we are. I'm sure there are hundreds more of these things that you could talk about that come out of the kitchen, which have been purchased with genuine excitement at the time, and then within minutes your ego is deflated. You've got this useless bit of stuff and you go, oh, why did I ever waste my time? Why? I'm sure there are loads. Anyway, what is we still don't know what a spurtle is. Oh yes, the Foreman grill. I'm afraid my son's got one of those. I've used one. I can't think that I actually bought one. Sandwich maker. We did have one of those funny little sandwich makers. We did use that for a bit, but they soon, it's like the slow cooker. I gave my slow cooker away to my daughter, Georgie. Didn't use it. Such a shame. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to say arrivederci, for we have run out of money. The 50p has gone round. The sands of time have complete. It's been lovely to talk with you. Back again tomorrow, hopefully a little bit more awake, because I feel like I'm sort of sleepwalking. Oh, maybe we'll do that. I'll write that down. Has anybody sleptwalked? Sleepwalking, that's a good subject. I want your stories on sleepwalking in tomorrow's show. I sleepwalk now to download this and bung it up onto YouTube, so that the lovely audience on YouTube, who thank you very much, the YouTube audience who do come and watch on the rerun, for coming along. That's absolutely marvellous. So there we go. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, you know what I'm going to say, and everybody knows it. I'm getting myself all organised so it's nice and easy. Yes, when you hear this music, I'm going to get my electric tea spurtler and my onion whisk slicer and my orange peel garroter, and I'm going to sling them all into a box and shove them down the dump. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Lovely to see you. Do have a wonderful evening. Back again tomorrow, probably on my own, unless I can persuade somebody else to come in and do the show with me, which is always a blessing. But hey-ho, it's been fun. Look after yourself. Have a good day tomorrow. Let's hope the sun is shining. It would be nice if it was. But from me, the VOBE One-Eyed Kenobi, take care, one and all. Have fun, be merry, and keep your peckers well and truly up. Goodbye, ladies and gentlemen. Goodbye. Goodbye.